topic of today's lecture is how to equalize in Evans Gambit. Of course, if you're E5 player, there is always chance of you facing E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, bishop C4 move. And if you want to play gioco piano with bishop C5, you have to be prepared for Evans Gambit. Now, I think if I was black, I wouldn't try to equalize with Evans Gambit. I would try to get an advantage. The line, I know that there have been a lot of articles, some very complicated variations, many different ways, but line, I would suggest, is very straightforward, very clear, easy to remember, and not too much to remember. Actually, that's why easy to remember, because it's not too much. So B4, bishop takes B4, C3, bishop A5, and D4. ED and castling. This is the key position of Evans Gambit. We all know that there are two moves here for black. DC is not one of them. Two moves are knight E7 and knight F6. There were articles about knight F6. It said knight F6 is a lot more ambitious move than knight E7. But since the topic of our lecture is how to equalize, and we don't want to go to very complicated variations, I want to stop your attention and focus on knight E7 move. This move is easily gives black at least an equality. Well, we need some precise play in next 2-3 moves, but that's about all you need to know. C takes D, D5, ED, and knight takes D5. Here are two moves for white, queen B3 and bishop A3. With the correct play, the variations, they merge. One move is followed by the other. So let's start with bishop A3. But there may be one difference in one of the variations if white chooses. We're going to get to it later in the lecture. Bishop E6. Now, by playing bishop A3, white stopped black from castling kingside. And now it's very hard to come up with, for white, with any other move than queen B3. And the queen B3 is the main move. Well, here are two different ways to play for black. Now, they're both okay. My preference is rook B8. The reason why rook B8, because queen D7 is really okay. But rook B8 is more than okay, in my opinion. Unless somebody proves otherwise, rook B8 is also a very good move. Now, let's go with the queen D7 first. The only playable move for white here is knight E5. The only playable move, because queen takes B7, is out of question, because queen gets trapped and white gets no compensation. But white has a very strong move, knight e5. We can avoid all that. Knight takes c5 and queen takes b7. Now, rook is hanging. We cannot castle king side. But by playing simple queen c8, we're practically forcing black to take on c8. And after rook takes c8, de, black has no problems. The main difficulty in this position for white is knight on b1. Has very hard time developing. Knight d2 is not good. Black can go c5. Black can go bishop b4 later. So black has, or black can go c6 followed by king d7, king d7, and they're doing okay. But however, if white plays queen b5 check, we can always, I don't know, we can go queen d7 even. Or we can go c6. This may even be a losing for white. So, but this end game is a close to equal. Now, my preference now, as I said, I want more than equal, is rook b8 move. And the rook b8 move will lead us to next continuations. After rook b8, the best move white can come up with, white cannot do any harm to black. Very powerful bishop on a5 never allows rook e1. So we have to, white plays, for example, rook d1. White says, on the other hand, black cannot castle yet. But then we play on rook d1 simply bishop b4, preparing to castle on the king side. The only way white can avoid getting lost position, in other words, if black castles with extra pawn, they're going to be just simply winning, as bishop takes b4, knight takes b4. Those are all absolutely best moves, double checked and triple checked on most powerful engine on 𝐻𝐸𝐴. And I don't want anyone to say that this is my suggestions and be skeptical. You may be skeptical, but on the other hand, I guarantee you everything here is absolutely valid. And now after a3, we go b5, and on bishop f1, knight c6, bishop b5, and black castles. This position, in my opinion, is much better for black. On queen a4, we simply go knight e7. White still has problem developing the b1 knight. Cannot go to c3 and cannot play knight d2 either. So that's what I would say is little more than okay. So what we have here is we have two different variations. So after knight e7, and we went d5, ed, knight d5, queen b3. No, actually, bishop a3, bishop e6, and queen b3. There is a pleasant choice, queen d7 or rook b8. Both okay, as I again summarize, queen d7 is okay, and I'm pretty sure rook b8 is a little more than okay. I'm not even touching knight f6 move in this position. So in this position, knight f6 is different chapter, and we are not going to get into it. If you want to be a lot more ambitious, then go ahead and go knight f6. It's very complicated game, and it's definitely okay for black to play. And I was told that black is getting advantage, and I agree with that. But if you I don't think you're gonna get Evans Gambit played that frequently in your tournament games that you need more than one line, when one line gives you two sublines, they're both okay. So knight e7 is perfectly okay. The only other thing we left here to see is if white doesn't play bishop a3, but plays queen b3, what happens then? If white plays queen b3, then we have to go bishop e6, and we are not going to analyze bishop a3 move because we have 100% transposition after rook b8 or queen d7. So only independent value will have queen takes b7 move. But queen takes b7 move is not a good move because after knight d to b4, black has serious advantage. It's also very simple, straightforward line. White has two moves, d5 or bishop takes e6. They are both treated the same way. On bishop takes e6, black goes rook b8, winning the queen, and believe me, there is no sufficient compensation. White can always take on b8, but this is never going to be sufficient. White is going to get a rook and a minor piece, rook and a bishop for queen, which is not enough. So the other move is d5 that gives even bigger problems because now after queen takes b8, it's the same material advantage, and you cannot take even here because now the possibility of knight c2, not to mention that we can simply even take on e6. So in both cases, black has serious advantage. So after queen b3, queen takes b7 is not playable. Then white has to play bishop a3. And we transpose to the main variation. It's very, very simple. If I can explain to you in 10 minutes how to play whole opening, well, actually, it's not an opening, it's a variation, Evans Gambit. It has its own name as an opening, but I think it's variation. It's like Botvinnik variation or this and that variation. This is one of the variation of Gioco Piano. And black has absolutely great game and absolutely no problems. That proves my theory when I said that there are not too many gambits in the early stage are playable for one side or another. Well, there is a perfect example of a gambit that is not playable. And I don't think Evans Gambit is gives white any promise of getting advantage. On the other hand, I should mention there are number of lines. If you don't know what you're doing, you can find yourself in a lot of trouble in very early stage of the game. Well, when we go knight e7, we avoid all this trouble. And there are no other options. Now, we don't want to go through every option white has. This is the only serious option, cd d5, ed knight takes d5. Everything else, you can see the common chess theory, they denounce everything else, but they think this is serious, and we just saw that it's not. So that's all I can say. That's all I know. That's all I would recommend to anyone to play on Evans.